camping outside, brawls inside Walmart, and Game Boys. All that and more on A Very 80s Christmas coming up next.
You're tuning in to AfterBuzz TV's The Christmas 24/7 channel, keeping the spirit of Christmas 24/7. Give, forgive, be merry. Ho, 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 ho.
Guys, welcome. We are the 24/7 Christmas channel, and this is A Very 80s Christmas. We're really excited today because we're going to do a deep dive into 1980s Christmas shopping. Some comparisons between how we used to shop then and how we're shopping now. Before we get started, I want to introduce our illustrious panel today. We have Princess Carrol. She's our resident millennial / 80s expert, and just so you guys know, she is so excited to talk about shopping today. What were you telling me earlier, Princess, about?
I miss toy stores. I get the online shopping thing. Sometimes things can be cheaper. You can get a better deal. However, I need to go see the toy myself. I need to walk around, get excited. I don't have any kids. We really don't have any little ones in my family. But it's just part of Christmas for me.
It is. I agree.
I miss all of them. Bring them back, please.
Yes, we're going to get into those more specifically. I love that. Such a good point. So we will start off just talking briefly about the season of consumerism. We're going to talk about where people shop then and now, where and how folks buy and how that's different. We're going to have a special segment about my Christmas jam, a little bit of 1989 news, and then we'll talk about what we'll be going over next week. So first, I just wanted to get into where people shop then. So you kind of mentioned it earlier. You miss the giant toy store.
Yes, part of growing up, part of my Christmas experience was actually a couple stores. Toys R Us. Getting the big book in the mail, circling a bunch of stuff.
I forgot all about the big book.
The big book. So much excitement. I would circle a bunch of stuff, probably get quarter to half of it, but that was part of the fun.
That's legit. You stick it a quarter to half. Those are very good odds.
My parents really went all out for Christmas.
It's like they treated you like a princess almost.
They did. And sadly, I was spoiled like one because I didn't play with half the gifts. But I miss that. I also miss, this is not quite toys, but Circuit City. That's part of my.
That's a flash.
That's part of my. Yeah, that was one thing we did. My dad was really into electronics, and when we got into video games, that was a place he would go to as well.
Yep.
So I'm kind of old school in that regard. I want all these things to come back, even for like a pop up. Just like a little while.
That's a cute idea. A
right,
pop-up. I remember loving, first of all, the mall. We can get into the mall later, but I remember KB Toys was the toy store, especially for the mall. It's a mall toy store. So I remember you could walk down the corridors in the mall, and they would always have toys like out, like in the kind of like hallway. So when you're walking past, there'd be like a little dog barking. Get me every time. I loved KB Toys. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I had totally forgotten about the big book with Toys R Us. I think there's just some magic that kids are missing now when you are able to go into a store and just have wall-to-wall toys. There's just some special experience about being immersed in just toys everywhere as a kid.
Right. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm not really buying too many toys, but it was just part of the magic, like you said, the Christmas magic, you getting excited. For me, the thought that some child is going to get this little doll and thinking about KB Toys and walking around the store and all the little fake dogs barking, it just brings back such happy memories for me.
Yep.
But I also realized that there are some people that didn't have that type of Christmas, and so maybe those toy stores were actually more problematic for them, which I never really thought about until I got older. So I guess I could see that as being something that actually makes some people sad, maybe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's something you can't have,
Yeah, if it's something that you couldn't have. I think that idea of also the mall being a huge place where people used to shop. I think that this year Stranger Things did a really good job of flashing back on like how exciting and important the mall used to be to just like Christmas shopping in general. I remember anytime like going to the mall like a week before Christmas or a couple of weeks before, the traffic would just be insane.
Yes.
The lines would be crazy. It would just be packed with people everywhere. Because, like, that was your one-stop shopping place, even though it's, you know, a bunch of different stores, but that was, like, the main hub. I mean, you know,
Even Black Friday. I mean, granted, this year was so different. I was talking to my parents about it. They started so many of those sales way before, not Thursday, not Wednesday, but a couple weeks before, well into November. Weird. So when Black Friday came around, the mall was not nearly as crowded as it used to be. And it kind of, I know people used to get trampled, but I think it still kind of took away from what I thought was the fun of going out there, being in the rush, being out there in the middle of, you know, 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning with hot cocoa, long lines. That was just part of how I grew up. So it's so different now.
It is super different. I think about shopping now, even, well, we both were talking about online shopping and just how different and how much easier shopping is in general. Like, and then the places that we're shopping too, like the mall used to be the one-stop shop, but now Target is the one-stop shop, or Walmart is the one-stop shop, you know, or Amazon is your one-stop shop. You go there, you can buy everything. There's something kind of sad, I think, about that, about a kid going into Target and having to make a left at socks, make a right at detergent, and then there are like 3 aisles of toys, you know what I mean, or 5 aisles of toys or whatever. It's like, you guys don't know how great it used to be, you know, type of deal.
Exactly. Or it feels so impersonal to go online.
That's a good point. Impersonal.
Yeah, you're going online. You can even get things delivered to you gift wrapped. There's so many ways that we've gotten away from that personal touch, whether it's working with the cashier or a customer associate who's able to help you find the perfect item, or if it's just you wrapping stuff yourself. It's gotten so automated now.
I agree. That does take a lot of the personal piece to it. Yeah, I mean, you used to be able to go and have someone that was kind of a toy expert give you good advice about what to get and what would be fun. And then even for kids, like I remember going to all these toy stores and toys would be out. Yeah, and you could kind of play with something. Yeah, and then you decide if you want it. Right. Now, they're not going to leave a toy. Like, I've never seen a toy out in any store these days. Like, forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, even what kids are playing with now, I remember dolls were big, cars were big. I remember the beginning of electronics with the Game Boy, but now it's moved beyond that. Kids are mostly getting electronics now, so they don't need to play with it and touch it anymore. They know, oh, well, if my PS whatever number we're on doesn't work, we're just going to take it back and get another one.
Yeah, that's sad. Old things dying. We love old things here. I mean, it is 1980, so we're big on nostalgia. Yep. Well, let's talk a little bit about the shopping experience. I know the shopping experience has changed a ton. We talked a little bit about that also, about how, I mean, if this is probably a really strange concept to people if they didn't grow up in the 80s, but people used to camp out. Do you remember this? Like, camp out early in the morning or even the night before to hit the Black Friday sales. Yep. They were like insane. I remember when I graduated college and got my first job and had like money, I was like super excited because I was like, I can buy everybody in my family something. And I got all the sales papers, because you used to have to get the sales papers, set them all out, and then like coordinated like what time everything was opening. Like, oh, this is opening at 4. This is opening at 4:30. I want sweatshirts from here, but then I want this rock spa from here. So I'm going to go here. And like, I had to come up with a straight up like plan and preparation. Me and my best friend, we were so excited. Like, this is our first Black Friday shopping. Like, we felt like real grown-ups. You know what I mean? Like, we were out and it was dark still when we were out shopping. So it was like a huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was the trip planner for our
I love it.
For our family. He was the one that would get all the newspapers and say, this TV's on sale here, this such and such is on sale here. And then somehow or another, through the magic of parenting, they would pick up things for me and my brother, and we never knew.
But you guys were with them shopping, but
I don't know how they did it.
I love that.
They did it. There was one time where they bought something and they said that it was for, because my parents would also give a lot during the holidays. Aww. So they said it was something they were going to give away.
What a great example. What a great example.
Yeah. So at that point I was deceived because, you know, I caught them and they had a really good out, and because we had done it, I believed them. But yeah, they did a really good job. I think they divided and conquered. if I was when I was with my dad at whatever store at Circuit City, my mom would go to Toys R Us. I think they had a good game plan.
Yeah, that's something that you had to have then that I feel like you don't have to have now. You had to have a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, my kids could be right next to me and I'm on the phone and I'm shopping for them. And like right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Or things will come to the house like this morning. One of my daughter's presents, not this morning, sorry, yesterday morning, one of her presents came to the house and I just tucked it above the fridge. Mm-hmm. It's wrapped in like a plastic shrink wrap. Mm-hmm. But she came in the kitchen and she was like, "What's that?" And she went to touch it and I was like, "Don't touch it." And she was like, "Oh, is this my Christmas present?" And I was like, maybe not, but don't touch it.
Right. Maybe it's for someone else.
Maybe it's for someone else. But it got delivered to the house. I had to do so little. You know what I mean? It was already wrapped up and everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but it's so convenient. I mean, you miss some of the magic, but what you gain in convenience, oh, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially for me. So I'm from the East Coast. All of my family is there. And so part of my travel plans include actually getting on a plane and traveling. So it's a lot easier for me to have things shipped there than have to worry about stuffing it in my bag. There are some things that I do because I do still enjoy going to the mall and picking out things, but a lot of things I have to get shipped home because I'm not trying to check more than one bag.
We were just talking about that too.
Exactly. And frankly, it's just easier to have it shipped there. Now, what I will try to do is maybe have it shipped to a different relative's house.
Oh, that's smart.
That way, there's a little bit of the mystery, but sometimes it's just like, this is the address, or I'm doing it really quickly and I don't have time to let my aunt know something's coming or what have you. So at that point, it's just like, well, a gift is coming. It may or may not be for you.
Don't shake it.
Yes.
Don't open it.
Don't open it. It does not have your name on it. It has my name on it.
What percentage would you say of shopping, if your shopping is online? Christmas shopping.
This year it's been higher. Because I started using one of those cashback websites.
Oh.
I think it's called Rakuten.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Ebates,
so it really does. So you really do get money back. Like,
you
for
do,
real.
but it's like, it's not, it gets stowed away into like their own little account. It's not a bank account, but just it gets stowed away until it hits a certain threshold.
Gotcha.
And they only dish out cash, I think it's a couple times a year. So you are just racking it up for the future. But yeah, so this year I think about half of it was done online. Most of my inspiration came from online. Like I would look online for ideas.
Gotcha.
But the actual purchases, sometimes I wanted to touch it myself.
Got you.
Yeah.
I think this year I've shopped online more than ever before. I've just been super busy this season, busier than normal.
Yeah.
And so my kids are all older, and a lot of their stuff I can do like gift card or just really specific, because now I'm super specific because I don't want to buy them something that they don't want. Like,
yeah.
So I just make sure I'm super specific, and then usually I can find it online for a pretty good deal.
Yeah, sometimes it's cheaper online.
Yeah. So that's been what I've been doing lately. So we're huge fans of Christmas, huge fans of Christmas shopping. Do you have a message for any huge fans we have that might be watching?
Yes. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in to Christmas 24/7 here. It's always a holiday. And for us to continue, we would love for you guys to comment, like, and subscribe. Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Be sure to hit that bell to subscribe, and go ahead and like this video since you're watching us anyway. We love what we do here at AfterBuzz TV, and we love you guys for your continued support. So thanks so much, and happy holidays.
Yeah, excellent. Awesome job. So what I was thinking about, kind of, you talked about earlier, which I thought was a really good point about kids today and how focused they are on electronics, and kind of what kind of things people bought, especially for kids back then. I remember, you said dolls. I remember I was in love with Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake. And I remember one year my mom got me the Rainbow Bright pony. Rainbow Bright had a pony or like a horse.
Oh, what's the name of the horse?
I can't remember the name of the horse,
Yes.
but I just remember the like colorful mane. I just loved. I was so happy. That was like one of my favorite, best Christmases ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She kind of made a resurgence a couple years ago.
Rainbow Bright? Yeah.
I remember seeing her on T-shirts all of a sudden again. But yeah, that Cabbage Patch Dolls. I mean,
Cabbage Patch Dolls, yes.
when I was younger, we got the My Size Barbie, which would freak my grandmother out. But in hindsight, it is a little weird. But still, I enjoyed it. I never had a Game Boy, though. That was one gift I kind of wish that I would have gotten.
Yeah.
But my uncle had that. He always was on it. The first one with the green screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he had that.
I never
one.
had a Game Boy either, but I had friends that had a Game Boy because I wasn't much of like a game player. I was more of like a doll player. And I remember one year my mom even asked us when Nintendo was a huge deal, me and my sister. She was like, do you guys want me to get a Nintendo? And we were both like, nah. And she was really surprised. She's like, you guys don't want a Nintendo? I thought everybody wanted a Nintendo. And it's like, all it takes is like one person in the neighborhood to have one. Then
That's
I could just
true.
go over their house and play it whenever I want to. Like,
And kids actually socialized. And
Exactly.
you guys came over to each other's houses. So that could work.
Right.
Nowadays, not
not
much.
so much, yeah.
People aren't sharing their game stations or whatever sort they're using.
Yeah. I was not at a loss for with not having a Game Boy or a Nintendo. It was like, meh. But I feel like you're exactly right. Kids now, like if you see, especially people post their kids opening stuff, it's always like crazy stuff, like an iPad, or an iPhone, or
And who are you calling? The only person you should be calling at that age is Barney or maybe Dora. I don't know.
Maybe Dora.
But
She does talk back to the TV a lot.
But who are you calling that requires an iPhone? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm old-fashioned like that.
But I feel like those are toys today.
They are.
I don't know. Well, all of my I have younger nephews. So they aren't really playing with dolls. Although my little nephew, who's like 2, I got him a doll last year. I got him a baby doll last year because I think it's important for boys to develop nurturing skills. And he loved his little baby boy doll. He had a little baby boy doll. But I don't know a lot of little girls to know if little girls still play with baby dolls. I don't know.
Yeah, my cousin's child, so I guess he is my second cousin. Anyway, however that works, a cousin of mine, he has a little girl, and she still plays with dolls.
Oh, good.
But I also know that part of the family, they're really big into, like, their grandmother had a doll collection.
Oh, wow.
So I think it was really important to them to keep the tradition up. So I don't know. I've seen that they've been trying to transform Barbie and give her an updated look, and her friends as well. So now that they've made all these changes to Barbie, I kind of wonder how popular she is now, you know?
Yeah, that's true. My daughter is kind of done with Barbie, but a couple of years ago, she was still playing with Barbie. And Barbie, I had an attitude about Barbie, you know, because unrealistic expectations. So I used to tell her all of that. And she's like, Barbie doesn't look like that anymore. And it's true. They have a My Size Barbie. She comes in all different shades. She's not just like, I remember 1980s. We got our first black Barbie.
Yeah.
And she just looked just like white Barbie, except like dipped in chocolate. But now, it's fine, which I was excited about. I wasn't hating. But now Barbie comes in light skin, brown skin, really dark skin. She has an afro. She has kinky, you know, she has locks. She has braids. You know, she's very different. All different, you know, parts of the spectrum, which I think is really good especially for girls of color.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Cabbage Patch Dolls started doing that pretty early, too.
Yeah.
They tried to be inclusive, I think, as much as, relatively speaking. I think that they tried to be inclusive. I remember different skin tones for the Cabbage Patch Dolls, and I think we had more options than with Barbie.
Yeah, I think they got on the bandwagon sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So we'll now move into our special segment called My Christmas Jam, where we talk about just some jams that we used to like, some songs we used to like that came out in the 80s that were Christmas themed. I heard recently, Do They Know It's Christmas? And I didn't realize actually the words in it. It's by Toto, I guess.
It's not Band-Aid?
Band-Aid.
Yes.
Yes. I'm thinking The Rains in Africa. So I'm
Yes.
getting them mixed up because Do They Know It's Africa? The Rains in Africa. Thank you for that.
Yes.
But so I didn't realize that they were saying, do you know it's Christmas? And now some people are saying it hasn't aged really well, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
But the tune is really dope and catchy, and I really liked back in the day.
Yeah, you don't realize it.
Yeah,
You
some
really don't.
some of the lyrics may be problematic. I heard one of the guys in the band recently came out and said, "Hey, it's not that the lyrics are super like problematic, is that people were taking it literally. We weren't saying Africans don't know it's Christmas. We were saying like sometimes if you don't have enough or if you're in the struggle, it doesn't feel like Christmas. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing."
Well, that's the importance.
And so I was
of
like,
context.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, now I mean, I haven't fully listened to the lyrics. There are a couple times where I'll pay attention. Most of the time, it's just background noise for me. But now I will pay attention, and now I have context for it. So now I won't feel as bad listening to it.
Awesome. I love it. And then just a little bit of news is about the Game Boy. So we were talking about the Game Boy. So the Game Boy was created in the 1980s and actually came out in 1989. So it was invented by the Nintendo company, actually a janitor who worked there named Gunpei Yokoi. Came up with the idea, and at first they call it the Ultra Hand, but then it went through a couple of iterations. By the time it was released in 1989 in the States, it was named the Game Boy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I feel like the Game Boy is a predecessor to just a long line of
Yeah. I walked into my coworker's office and he had a Switch earlier. And that's literally it's the descendant of the Game Boy. And I feel like I actually heard that story, that it was started or invented by a janitor. But yeah, the Switch would not be here today
It would
if
not.
it weren't for the Game Boy.
For its great-great-grandfather.
Yes, with the great graphics that it had.
So funny. I remember like Tetris was a big thing to play on the Game Boy. Just like fitting the blocks in the thing, which is like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Switch is so, watching him play it and watching other people play it, there are some elements that are still very similar. I think the design is still super simple. I mean, you can take it apart and do all these cool little things with it, but at the end of the day, and in its essence, it's still a Game Boy. It's just bigger.
That's
with
true.
A colorful screen.
That is a very good point. Shout out to the Game Boy.
Shout out to Nintendo.
Yeah, awesome for bringing us that great game for years and years to come. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us at the very 80s Christmas and joining us to talk about shopping and all things shopping. I want to first off thank Princess Carrol. How can these guys reach you? How can they find you? Where can they find you? You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at PrincessCTV. Awesome. And you can find me at HostKay, HostKay, on Twitter and on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time when we're covering Christmas traditions. Bye. Bye.
Happy holidays.
You're tuning in to AfterBuzz TV's The Christmas 24/7 channel, keeping the spirit of Christmas 24/7. Give, forgive, be merry. Ho, 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 ho.